Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite people in history, just because how crazy this guy was. This is actually my first video and I've put a lot of work into it, so I really hope you guys enjoy. I don't want to hold you here much longer. Let's get into it. Across the endless grasslands of Central Asia, the wind once carried a name that would fall like a hammer upon the world. A name spoken in fear, in awe, and in hatred. Genghis Khan. The man who rose from exile and poverty to command the greatest land empire in human history. To some, he is a hero. To others, a destroyer. To history, he is a force that broke the ancient world. This is not a tale of glory. It is the story of ambition, power, and the terrible price of empire. He was born Temujin, around the year 1162, near the Onon River in Mongolia. His world was one of clans, raids, and endless conflict between tribes. Loyalty was fragile, and survival was a privilege. Temujin was the son of a minor tribal leader, but fate showed him no mercy. His father was poisoned by rivals when he was still a child. With no protector, Temujin and his family were abandoned by their tribe and left to die on the open steppe. Hunger and cold hunted them. They ate roots, fish, and wild birds to survive. They had no allies, no horses, no future. But Temujin endured. Survival turned him into something harder than iron. He learned early that trust was rare and betrayal was normal. When one of his half-brothers tried to hoard food from the family, Temujin killed him. It was his first act of ruthless leadership. He believed that without order there was death, and if no one would lead, then he would. As a teenager, Temujin was captured by the Taichiud tribe and enslaved. Collared with a wooden kang around his neck, humiliated in front of strangers, he learned something valuable. Not how to submit, but how to wait. He escaped with the help of a single guard who took pity on him, and Temujin never forgot. He rewarded loyalty, and he punished betrayal. The memory of chains would follow him forever. He married Borte, a woman who would become his anchor. But soon after the marriage, she was kidnapped by the Merkit tribe. Temujin swore vengeance. He called upon two powerful allies, his blood brother Jamuka and a powerful Khareta chieftain named Togrul, whom Temujin had once helped. Together they rescued Borte and destroyed the Merkit camp. But this would not be the end of conflict. It was only the beginning. The alliances he formed would crumble, and those who rode beside him would one day fight to destroy him. Jamuka and Temujin were once as close as brothers. But they had different visions for the future. Jamuka believed in the old ways. Noble bloodlines, tribal privilege, the rule of tradition. Temujin believed in change. Power should belong to the strong, not just the noble. Loyalty should be earned, not inherited. Jamuka sought to be a king of aristocrats. Temujin sought to be a king of people. The two men clashed. In their first great battle, Jamuka defeated Temujin and boiled 70 young warriors alive as a warning. Temujin learned another lesson that day. Mercy was weakness on the steppe. If he wanted to rule, he would have to break his enemies so completely that no one would dare to resist again. Temujin's rise was slow but relentless. He united outcasts and warriors from defeated tribes, giving them a place in his growing nation. Step by step, he built more than an army. He built a new order. He enforced discipline with brutal laws. Adultery, theft, betrayal, death. But if you followed him, you shared in victory. Rival chieftains ruled through fear alone. Temujin ruled through fear, loyalty, and reward. And that made him unstoppable. In 1206, a great council known as a Kurultai declared Temujin the universal ruler of all Mongols. He took a new name, Genghis Khan. Some say it meant oceanic ruler or king of the world. From this moment on, he believed that destiny itself had chosen him. The tribes were now one nation, united under a single iron will. But unity was only the beginning. Genghis did not intend to rule only the steppe. He intended to rule everything beyond it. He created a military system unlike anything the world had seen. His warriors were organized in strict units of 10, a structure that destroyed tribal favoritism. Every soldier had a purpose. Every horse was a weapon. Mobility was supreme. Armies that moved slowly were crushed by armies that lived in the saddle and could strike from 1,000 miles away. Genghis Khan understood that knowledge was power, so he built a spy network across Asia. His scouts mapped rivers, water sources, fortress walls, and city defenses. Before the Mongols attacked, they already knew everything about their enemy. He did not believe in fighting fair. He believed in winning. When he attacked the Tangut kingdom of Western Xia, China laughed at the barbarians from the north. They did not laugh for long. The Mongols fought without hesitation. If a city resisted, it was destroyed. If it surrendered, it was spared. It was a simple rule that traveled faster than any army. Cities surrendered before they were attacked. Fear became a weapon. But the war that would define Genghis Khan began with a single insult. In the year 1218, the Khwarazm Empire, stretching across Persia, Central Asia, and Afghanistan, killed a group of Mongol merchants and then murdered Genghis Khan's ambassadors. He sent a peaceful envoy first, as tradition demanded. But when they beheaded his messengers, a line was crossed. Killing messengers was forbidden. It was spitting in the face of law and honor. Genghis Khan did not forget insults. He erased them. He led 200,000 Mongols across the desert in a campaign of systematic annihilation. He divided his army into multiple columns, striking cities from different directions. He used terror to break resistance. After the fall of Otrar, Bukhara surrendered. Samarkand fell shortly after. City after city was destroyed. Some historians estimate millions died across Persia, though exact numbers will never be known. What is certain is that entire civilizations were shattered. Scholars, artisans, and blacksmiths were carried east to serve the Mongol Empire. The rest vanished. This was not conquest. This was transformation. The Silk Road, once a dangerous trail for merchants, was now patrolled by Mongol riders. Trade flourished, but so did war. Genghis Khan had no capital, no palace, and no throne. His empire moved wherever his horse carried him. He ruled from tents beneath the stars. But there were cracks growing inside his own bloodline. His first son, Jochi, was born shortly after Borte's abduction by the Merkits. Many questioned whether Jochi was truly his child. Genghis accepted him, but his brothers did not. One day, that doubt would poison the empire. Genghis turned east toward China. The Jin dynasty was powerful and wealthy, and believed the Mongols were still beneath them. They mocked diplomacy. They broke treaties. So Genghis Khan surrounded their cities, starved their armies, and burned their fields. He learned siegecraft and used new weapons, catapults, firebombs, and siege towers. He did not invent these tools, but he perfected them. He rewarded talent without prejudice. Subutai, a blacksmith's son, became one of the greatest generals in history. Jebe, once an enemy who shot Genghis in battle, was spared and became a legendary commander. The empire did not care who you were before. It cared only what you could do now. But ambition consumes everything. Genghis Khan conquered lands so vast that they struggled to function as a single empire. Communication remained strong through the Yam network, relay stations where riders could switch horses and deliver messages across continents. But ruling conquered people required governors, taxes, laws. This was a new challenge. War was easy. Ruling peace was harder. He created the Yasa, a code of laws enforced with brutal efficiency. Theft, rebellion, treason, death. But religious freedom was allowed. Merchants were protected. Travelers were fed and given shelter. Genghis Khan did not see himself as a barbarian. He believed he was bringing order to a broken world. But power demands loyalty, and loyalty demands control. Within his own family, war was brewing. His sons fought over succession. Jochi's legitimacy was still in doubt. Chagatai, another son, refused to accept him as heir. To prevent bloodshed, Genghis chose a different successor, Ogedei. It was a compromise that solved nothing. The seeds of civil war were already planted. Near the end of his life, during a campaign against Western Xia, Genghis Khan was injured. Some say he fell from his horse. Others say he died from illness. Others say he was killed by a captured princess who concealed a blade. The truth is lost to time. Before he died, he gave one final command. His burial site must never be found. His funeral escort killed anyone who saw the grave. Forests were planted over it. Rivers were diverted. To this day, no one knows where he is buried. He began as a nameless exile. He died as the ruler of an empire that stretched from the Pacific to the Caspian Sea. He forever changed warfare, nation-building, trade, communication, genetics, and history itself. His empire killed tens of millions, but also connected cultures that had been isolated for centuries. He destroyed civilizations and built a new world over the ashes. Did he nearly destroy civilization? Or did he forge the first version of a global world? History does not give simple answers. It only leaves consequences. The story of Genghis Khan is not about a hero or a villain. It is about power, forged in hunger, grown in war, and carried by those ruthless enough to claim it. His shadow still stretches across history. His blood still flows through millions. His empire may have fallen, but his impact never did. This is not the end of the story. It is only the beginning. Because after Genghis Khan died, his heirs continued his legacy. His generals rode farther than he ever did. Russia would fall. Europe would tremble. The Middle East would bleed. And one day, a Mongol army would reach the heart of the Christian world. But that is a story for another time. Now that you understand the rise of Genghis Khan and the power he built, let's go even deeper. Because behind the legend are stories most people never hear. Here are some of the most surprising and shocking facts about Genghis Khan, many of which you never learned in school. Fact 1. He erased himself from history on purpose. Genghis Khan was one of the most powerful men in history, yet he left almost nothing behind with his name on it. No palace, no throne, no monument, no official portraits, no written memoir, no gold statues or royal seals. He erased himself by design. He believed that legacy was not built in stone, but in blood and conquest. He ordered that nothing carry his image. He never allowed artists to record his face. Even his height, his hair, and his features are still debated because no one was allowed to depict him. The silence was part of his strategy. Fear spreads faster when it is faceless. Mystery lasts longer than memory. When he died, his funeral guard reportedly killed everyone who saw the burial procession to keep the location secret. They rode horses over the site so no trace remained. Forest was planted over it, rivers diverted. The location of Genghis Khan's grave remains unknown to this day, not by accident, but by command. Fact 2. His greatest general was a man he once tried to kill. Of all the generals Genghis Khan commanded, one stands above the rest, Jebe, known as the Arrow. Legend says Jebe once shot Genghis Khan in battle before he ever joined him. Instead of executing him, Genghis asked who had fired the shot. The archer stepped forward and confessed. He said, "If I am to die, let it be by the bow. But if I am to live, I will serve you." Genghis saw something rare in him, honesty without fear. He spared him and gave him a new name, Jebe, meaning arrow. Jebe became one of the most brilliant battlefield minds in history. He led impossible campaigns, including a legendary ride across thousands of miles to strike enemies who didn't even know he was coming. He once defeated an army more than 10 times the size of his own by using fake retreats and deception tactics across rivers and mountain passes. Jebe and Subutai together became the unstoppable sword of the Mongol Empire. From China to Europe, their campaigns changed the course of nations. And it all began because Genghis Khan believed that loyalty born from choice is far stronger than loyalty born from fear. Fact 3. He built the first intelligence agency in history. Long before modern nations created networks of spies, Genghis Khan built one of the first large-scale intelligence systems in human history. He did not guess before entering war. He knew. He sent merchant spies ahead of his army disguised as traders, healers, monks, caravan leaders, even refugees. They mapped water sources, counted soldiers, measured city walls, found mountain passes, and studied languages. They learned who hated whom. Division was always the best weapon. If a city had factions, he found them and used them. If a king had enemies within his own court, Genghis Khan paid them. Information made war cheaper. His intelligence network also spread propaganda. Before the Mongols even arrived, rumors of invincibility traveled ahead of them. Impossible stories spread. That Mongols did not need sleep. That they were demons on horseback. That their arrows never missed. That they could not be killed. When fear takes root first, battle is already half won. Fact 4. He rewarded loyalty more fiercely than any king. Although he is remembered for destruction, Genghis Khan's true power came from loyalty. He destroyed tribes, but he protected those who joined him. No king of his time treated soldiers of low birth with as much respect as he did. A blacksmith's son could command an army. A shepherd could become a general. Honor was earned, not inherited. He created a system where loyalty was more important than blood. Soldiers who showed bravery in battle received gifts: horses, gold, and captives. When a soldier fell, his family was protected by the empire. Even captured enemies were offered a choice: serve the empire and rise, or die resisting it. Many of his greatest commanders came from enemy tribes who once fought him. In the West, rulers crushed rivals. Genghis Khan recruited them. That is how he built an army no one could match. An army that followed him, not because they feared him, but because they believed he would lead them to victory. Fact 5. The Mongol Empire was built on communication. War alone does not build an empire. Communication does. The Mongols built the Yam system, a relay network of stations across the empire. Riders could switch to fresh horses at each station, allowing messages to travel faster than ever before in human history. Engineers rebuilt roads, wells were dug in deserts, way stations carried food and supplies. This system was so advanced that it rivaled communication speeds not seen again until the invention of the telegraph, over 600 years later. Genghis Khan did not build borders to keep people out. He built a network to connect people he ruled. He understood that information was as valuable as any sword. Armies without orders die. Nations without communication fall. The Mongol Empire did not fall during his lifetime because he could see everything at great speed. Fact 6. He invaded by letting his enemies destroy themselves. When Genghis Khan fought powerful kingdoms, he did not rely only on brute force. He used engineered chaos. He studied and exploited the weaknesses of rulers. He knew that pride made kings blind. Greed divided people. Suspicion destroyed alliances. Genghis Khan used all three. Before attacking a nation, he sent gifts, envoys, and trade missions, pretending to be weak or friendly. When war began, he used betrayal as a weapon. He paid generals to defect. He convinced cities to surrender by promising safety. He isolated capitals by destroying supply chains. He cut off water, divided commanders, and spread rumors faster than swords. Wars were won before his armies even arrived. His enemies never understood that they defeated themselves long before they met the Mongols on the field. Fact 7. He did not believe in torture, but in efficiency. Unlike many rulers of his time, Genghis Khan rarely used torture. It was slow and pointless. Pain did not win armies or cities. Fear did. He preferred simple choices: surrender and live, or resist and vanish. When a city surrendered immediately, he spared it. No mass killing, no destruction. The people kept their religion, their homes, their trade. But if a city resisted, he unleashed total war. In Nishapur, the reported death toll shocked even chroniclers. In Urgench, the siege lasted so long and cost so many Mongol lives that once it fell, Genghis Khan let his generals decide its fate. They chose extermination. Some historians debate the numbers, but the destruction itself is not in question. Genghis Khan believed mercy created loyalty, but annihilation prevented rebellion. Peace came from fear of resistance. Fact 8. Women held real power under Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan is known for many things, but few people know that Mongol women had more rights and political influence than women in Europe, the Middle East, or China at that time. Mongol society was built on survival. That meant women worked, managed wealth, and led families while men were away at war. When Genghis Khan was still rising, it was his mother, Hoelun, who held their family together. She fed them, hunted with them, and taught them loyalty. His wife, Borte, advised him until her death. And some of the most powerful rulers after Genghis were women regents who held the empire together when male heirs were weak. In a world dominated by kings and emperors, Genghis Khan built an empire where women carried authority. Fact 9. He changed the world more than almost any other human. Be honest, when most people hear the name Genghis Khan, they think only of war. But what they do not realize is this: war was only the beginning. The Mongol Empire reshaped the world. Roads were rebuilt. Trade reopened between East and West. Silk, gunpowder, paper currency, compasses, printing, and medicine spread faster than ever before. Mathematics from the Islamic world moved east. Chinese science moved west. Languages, currencies, and diplomacy became organized. Genghis Khan did not just build an empire. He created the first version of global connection. The same trade routes he built would later carry the Renaissance, the Age of Discovery, and the modern world. Fact 10. He never called himself a king. Genghis Khan rejected the title of king. Kings inherited power. He believed power must be earned. He never ruled from a throne or palace. He ruled from horseback, from the steppe where he was born. He never wrote laws. He spoke them. His word alone was law. He said he did not conquer the world. He was sent to it. Whether he believed that, or whether it was simply a story to inspire his people, history cannot answer. What it can answer is this: he rose higher from nothing than any man in history. And he knew that someday someone else would try to do the same.